Thomas Tuchel is the new men's England senior manager. My understanding is he has signed the contract in the last hour to take over from Gareth Southgate and become his successor.
So Thomas Tuchel is the new England manager. I'm not entirely sure what I think about that. Part of me thinks he'll be a good manager. He might suit the team. Another part of me is not really bothered. But then again, another part of me is like, well, as long as he's not Man United manager, so this is a good thing. So I'm not entirely sure what to say. However, here's what Sky Sports are reporting in a second. And then afterwards, I'm going to unpick it a little bit, look for the pros and cons about Thomas Tuchel being England manager.
Thomas Tuchel is the new men's England senior manager. My understanding is he has signed the contract in the last hour to take over from Gareth Southgate and become his successor. And we're expecting a news conference at Wembley tomorrow lunchtime at about 1:30 when the Chief Executive of the FA, Mark Bullingham, will answer some questions and explain why the FA have made this decision. Not confirmed yet whether Tuchel will be at that news conference, but I'd fully expect him to be. And so that's an extraordinary situation, isn't it? We broke the news exclusively at lunchtime on Sky Sports News that England were considering appointing only the third non-English manager to ever take charge of the men's senior football team. And, of course, a German coach as well, with all of the extra controversy that will bring, with all the rivalry between England and Germany that goes back so many decades, Mike. But the deal is done. You asked me a short time ago how close this deal was, and we said, look, it could happen quickly because Tuchel is out of work, having left Bayern Munich in May, so he's a free agent, if you like. But you also asked me whether it could drag on a little bit, and I said, yeah, because he's going to have to take a big pay cut, at the very least, if he's going to take over as the England manager, probably half the €9 million salary he was on when he was in Germany in the Bundesliga with Bayern Munich. I'd expect him to earn £4.5, maybe up to £5 million as the main man, the top coach at the FA, but a significant pay cut for a very decorated club manager who's taking his first step into international management in one of, if not the highest profile international jobs you can get. This is a coup for the FA, without a shadow of a doubt, because he's won an awful lot of trophies, hasn't he, wherever he's been. At Paris Saint-Germain, at Bayern Munich, at Chelsea, he's won big trophies at all of those. That's why he's got this job, because John McDermott, the FA technical director, wants a coach, wants a manager who can get England over the line and win their first major international tournament since 1966.
So Tommy Tuchel is the new England manager. He's just signed the new contract now, or should I say a contract, and he's going to be taking over on January the 1st. Now, I suppose it's a good appointment. I wouldn't say it's fantastic. It's definitely a step up from Gareth Southgate, because I think the job became too big for Gareth Southgate once the squad became as good as it is now, because England's squad is arguably the best international squad in world football. So it's going to need a big name manager to be able to handle that squad and get the best out of them. Now, I wouldn't necessarily say Thomas Tuchel is an amazing manager. He did well at Chelsea, but it wasn't his team. That was a team that was built by Frank Lampard, and I'm glad he has not become the new Man United manager, because he's not necessarily elite. He took over at PSG, didn't do anything much there. He won the Bundesliga with Bayern Munich, but most of the time, that's just par for the course with Bayern Munich. So he's good for 18 months, I suppose, especially since there isn't much better out there. Pep would have been a good one because that team suits Pep, because, as we all know, Pep Guardiola is great at walking into teams that are already built for him. But I think Tommy Tuchel will be a good coach for England, because all we need to do with that England team is just organise it well and just let them play. Because Gareth Southgate didn't necessarily know what he was doing in the final couple of tournaments. Like I mentioned before, that it just got a little bit too big for him. He was too defensive. And when you've got a very attacking team, you've got some of the most elite level attacking players in world football, like Bellingham, Foden, Harry Kane, just to name a few. then you're going to need an attack-minded manager. I'm not entirely sure if Tuchel is an attack-minded manager. I think he might be. I'm waiting to hear back from my Chelsea friend who will be able to clarify that for me. But anyone's got to be more attacking than Gareth Southgate. So it seems that Thomas Tuchel plays quite a possession style game, which could actually suit this England squad. He's got some fantastic midfield players in Bellingham, Foden, Rice, Kobe Mainoo as well. So he might actually suit it because Gareth Southgate was very defensive. He'd sit back, he'd score a goal, and then he'd try and absorb pressure for the rest of the game, which was silly, which definitely cost us the Euros first time around against the Italians. But this guy seems a little bit more possession-based, more progressive, more attacking. He seems to like to utilise players in a high line. I'm just reading something here about him, when he was at Dortmund. He used to play a lot of attacking midfielders with one holding midfielder. So that would suit England because you could play you could play Bellingham and Cole Palmer in 2 number 10 positions with Declan Rice screening the back 4. You could have inside forwards with Foden and Saka. Hopefully he brings Mason Greenwood back because, let's be honest, Mason Greenwood was a fantastic footballer and he could play and score goals for England. And maybe get something out of Anthony Gordon and maybe get something out of Marcus Rashford. We've also got Sancho as well. And I think he might know Sancho from his time at Dortmund as well. So he's got a lot of big coaches here saying some really nice things about him. Discovered by Ralph Rangnick and also Jurgen Klopp has spoke highly of him as well. And also one thing to mention about Thomas Tuchel is he's used to going into big clubs with big personalities. So he took over at Chelsea, won the Champions League with them. At the very least, he took over at Bayern Munich, and they're full of big personalities, and also at Paris Saint-Germain. So he's used to dealing with stars. So that's going to be a plus for him as well. All in all, he's a good manager, I suppose. He's certainly better than what we had. Because he's German, should he manage England? To be honest, I don't care. As long as the players on the pitch are English, I think that's par for the course these days. And who else could they get to manage England? Eddie Howe, perhaps? Maybe they think Eddie Howe's not ready yet, but yeah, it's an interesting appointment. But hey ho, we'll see how it goes. At the end of the day, it's England. Yeah, quite optimistic about this appointment for 2 reasons. 1, it's better than Gareth Southgate, and 2, I'm glad he's not a Man United manager. But what do you guys think? Is Tommy T going to be a good manager for England? Let us know in the comments.